So I have thousands of students, but several students have really proven themselves by studying more, wanting it more, putting in the hard work, and reaping the rewards. I now have 40 plus millionaire students out of the thousands of students. Sadly, most students don't study enough. But in this video, I interview 3 of my new millionaire students, and I want you to see their journeys. They all had very humble beginnings. They all actually worked normal jobs. And then they learned trading in their spare time, and now they've really, reaped the rewards thanks to their hard work and studying. So do me a favor, leave a comment below. Thank Chris, Mari, and Andrew for being so transparent in their journeys and sharing all these tips with you. Watch this whole video, watch it twice, watch it 3 times, send it to your friends, send it to your families. I always say I'm proud to be real in an industry full of fakes. It's not just me having success, it's my students too. And they're all slightly different, they have different backgrounds, but you can start to really see some very similar parallels of what creates new millionaires. If you do want to join my challenge, that's where all my millionaire students come from. You can click the link below. You can apply for my challenge. You don't just get access. You have to go through a whole interview process. We're a very tight-knit group. And these are just 3 of now 40 plus millionaire students. But I'm very grateful for them. I'm grateful for them sharing their journeys and being willing to, help others. That's what I love about this community. So watch this video, take notes. Again, share it with somebody who needs to see this and get inspired. You can do it too. There's Mari. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. Good to talk with you guys.
You too.
How's life?
Good.
Yeah? What have you been up to? Update everybody.
Like life-wise?
Whatever you
want.
want.
My puppies.
You what?
Walked my puppies.
Nice. How's your puppies?
They're good. They're big and cute and puffy.
I know. I send you a lot of dog videos because your puppy is very cute. So you should post more of your puppy. That puppy will go viral. Andy, how you doing?
Right.
I'm doing good, Tim.
Yeah? What are you up to this week?
Just been spending time with more family and friends because the market's been kind of choppy. So I've been taking time off the markets and spending time with my loved ones and friends.
Beautiful. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good to see you, man. I see you got a haircut.
You too. I actually got it extended. I just took my extensions off though, so it's actually
dude.
shorter.
You look like Wolverine with glasses. It's fine. You're a big hit. Congrats with the big movie with Deadpool. It's funny. Well, what have you been up to? I don't know if you guys know, but Chris just had the best day of the year, $64,000. What day of the week was that?
I could check my sheet right now. I think it was Wednesday.
Wednesday. How did that feel? $64,000 in one day.
It feels good. I mean, it feels good, but it's always like, how much am I going to lose of it tomorrow?
Did you lose? Did you lose the next day, or did you hold on?
No,
to
I
it?
actually won. I won the next. If it was Wednesday, I won Thursday and Friday as well. So it's been still going good.
I like that you said you won. It's not even like that you made money or lost money. It's like I won. How do you win, Chris? Teach everybody. What's the key to winning?
For me, it's just doing the same thing I do every day and following my rules and building a system.
And that's the right answer. That's what I wanted you guys to hear. Chris, Andrew, and Mari, 3 great students. If each of you can just go back to the beginning of your trading journey, we only have a little bit of time today, but if you could just explain, where were you before the challenge? What were you doing? What did you do in the beginning to maximize the challenge? And how has it helped you? Chris, or actually Mari, you start first. Ladies first.
I was in high school and I just remember I really wanted to go to college, but thankfully my dad, he has an entrepreneur mindset. So he wanted to show me.
How's Charlie?
He's good. He says hi.
Hey, Charlie. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
So Charlie, he wanted me to have that entrepreneur mindset, and he always shared with me other ways. Maybe like I know I really wanted to go to college, but he said you don't really have to go to college in order to like make a living for yourself. So I was thankful that I found Tim, and right after high school, I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I just remember studying a lot, and I studied for a whole year, and I really wanted trading to work for me. And then eventually I started the full journey in 2019 when I started full on day trading.
And you also, you're from Colombia, and you said, like, in past conversations, I know that you went to Colombia, you saw, what people were doing, with like manual labor and normal jobs, and, they're not making that much. So you had a little perspective, right?
Exactly. I went with my family and I stayed there for a whole year. And I just remember I said, well, maybe I could even live here. And I started working with my family at an ice cream shop. And I remember that it was very difficult. And I understood the opportunity that I had, which was such a great opportunity to start trading. And I was like, well, if I really take this seriously, this could work for me. Because I remember my dad saying, day traders have the potential to have a life of freedom. And I was able to take it and understand the opportunity that I had in front of me.
And now you can afford a lot of ice cream scoops. You're not doing the scooping anymore. Now you're just eating pints of ice cream.
Yes.
What's your favorite flavor?
Vanilla.
Oh, Andrew, what were you doing when you first began the challenge?
I was working as a nail tech in my parents' salon shop.
And you
And
got
then,
into trading.
yeah, and then luckily I found your ad with the Lamborghini.
Hey, so you wanted to make Lambo money.
I did, yeah. You should bring the Lambo back.
No cars for me anymore. I'm done with that phase of my life. But I'm glad that it inspired you. What did your parents think when you first began like studying and getting into the challenge? Were they like, no, just focus on, doing more manicures and pedicures, or were they supportive?
So they weren't very supportive because like they're just being good parents like any other parents would and be like, oh, you gotta go to school, be a doctor, be a lawyer. So they were just looking out for me. But then so they didn't believe it at first, but then as I progressed and then they started believing me afterwards.
I mean, that's usually how it works, right? Like no one thinks that it's possible, but then once you start seeing the patterns, once you start profiting off the patterns, and then rinse and repeat, then you can actually start to see like, wait a minute, this is a lot better. I think it's interesting to hear from Mari and Andrew, both of them working, very tough jobs. Everyone loves ice cream, and a lot of people need manicures and pedicures. I probably need some too, but it's a tough way to make a living, right? Like I think both of you would agree, like every day, just one customer at a time, it's really difficult to go parabolic. Like there's only so many scoops of ice cream you can give. There's only so many manicures and pedicures and so much time in the day. So I think that's why trading really helps people, especially when you have real world experience. Do you guys agree with that? Like seeing the difference between trading where you can grow exponentially versus something where it's just a grind every hour, right? Chris, what was your background when you first joined the challenge and got into trading?
I was teaching piano lessons and trying to support a budding career on TikTok.
How did that go?
Well, I was hardly making any money as a piano teacher, and I was making even less money on TikTok, but I was getting some fans. But it's hard to turn that into real dollars.
Were you getting paid like per piano lesson, like or hourly? How does that work? I don't know.
Yeah, I was getting paid hourly. I was probably getting paid 70 an hour, and I was probably working 15 hours a week. I was making 30 something K a year at that time period. And then COVID came and it really hurt my career. Half of my students refused to take lessons online. The other half started taking them online. So I was like, I need to figure something else out. My brother was in your challenge. I thought he was being scammed, but he started making some money right at the time right at the time COVID was happening. So I asked him to start teaching me.
And that's cool. So, I want everyone to realize like 3 now millionaires, but they started with very humble backgrounds. And I think that it's important, like many of you guys have these hourly paying jobs, whether you're piano teaching, ice cream scooping, or giving manicures or pedicures. I know we have some Uber drivers, we have security guards, people who are getting paid hourly wages. Maybe, if you work a few extra hours, you can get some bonuses, some overtime, but it's really tough to get wealthy that way. And, you're just exhausted. And then, God forbid, I know that these 3 jobs aren't necessarily so manually intensive, but what if you're working a construction job? I've been around the world, there's a lot of manual labor jobs. You get injured, you're out for weeks or months, then you're trying to work again to make up for the lost weeks or months. Maybe you're working injured and then you don't even do as well, or then maybe you get re-injured. Like it's so difficult to get financial freedom working for somebody else, working these hourly jobs. And all 3 of these great, now millionaires have that perspective. So you guys tell me, Mari, you can answer first. Did that perspective really encourage you to keep going? Because I know you said like you were studied for a year, you didn't make money. Many people need to make money right away. What gave you like the confidence to keep going even when you weren't making money?
For the first year, I wasn't even trading, and then I remember I was losing for 6 months. But I went to the 2019 conference, and I think that's what gave me the most inspiration, because sometimes you might like just be sitting behind like all of the speakers, and maybe you won't see how real it can actually be. And then when you're right there and you kind of like the speakers have similar backgrounds like as you, and just understanding more that you can be like that is something attainable and that is something that you can reach. And I just think it was so inspiring to see all of these young traders that also were day trading. And I met Jack and Kyle and Matt and all of these other examples. And I just think it just made everything for me a lot more real. In a sense, this can be possible if I put in enough time and enough effort. And I just remember them saying they're trading hours and they're putting in all of this time and they're studying. So I said, well, I think I can do this too if I really put in my all. And that's exactly what I did. I got home and I was just so inspired because I saw all of these examples are it's pretty normal. Like you can, but you just have to put in a lot of time and work in order to make everything happen.
For sure. And you have the right priorities, you have the right mindset, and that's frankly why you get rewarded. I want everyone to realize this. When you're studying, when you're learning in the beginning, especially if you're trading small or especially if you're losing in the beginning, it's okay because it's all part of the process, okay? The thing with hourly paying jobs is you start getting paid right away. So it's like, oh, I'm working, I'm making, even if you make $50 or $100 in a day, at least you're making money. In trading in the beginning, you're not gonna make that much. You probably shouldn't be trading that aggressively, but you're starting small so that you can make more exponentially later on. That's very important for people to realize because people always want to like compare trading to hourly paying jobs. Hourly paying jobs, you can't lose money, but it will rob you of your entire future because there's no real way to get ahead. I mean, Andrew, how long did it take before you were making like consistent money to like make your family be like, okay, this is better than the nail salon?
Yeah, so I would say about 3 or 4 years because like I would miss all the plays. But then what inspired me was that I saw like all these other students hitting those plays too. And um what makes it inspiring is that like, nothing makes us so special. We're all the same, like just average people. And I'm like, if they can do it, then why can't I do it too?
And that's the beautiful thing. Like, we are all average people. I always say this to people. People are like, no, you must be like great at math or really smart. No, I can mention like 20 dumb things that I've done. I was just trying to sign into my bank account the other day, and like my mom also has the password, and like she's looking at something and I'm looking at something and it's looking different. And we actually had to get like the bank manager over, and I was like, we have the same username and password. Like, why are we seeing 2 different screens? I didn't even realize I was using a different login. Like, I just had like a dumb moment, and I can name like 50 dumb moments. You don't have to be exceptionally intelligent. If you listen to Andrew, myself, and Mari so far have said, you just see what's working for other people and then you get inspired. Because this is the cool thing about these stocks. Anybody can do it. We're all united by this new technology. We wouldn't be able to have this conversation a few years ago, let alone a few decades ago, right? Now you can learn and you can see other people. And the cool thing about being real in an industry full of fakes is we've got tons of millionaires, there's tons of plays, and you can try and see what everyone is doing, right? Like, Chris, like, how does it feel now? Like, I know you made 64 grand in a day, but how long in the beginning? I know that your brother was in the challenge ahead, so you kind of like, had a leg up. But in the beginning, I mean, even if your brother's making money, you guys weren't making that much. I mean, what was like your first year like?
No, I mean, no, it feels unreal. I mean, it's been 4.5 years for me, and it still feels like it still feels like it's not real, and I'm waiting for it every day. I'm waiting for it to like
Someone's
disappear,
gonna
and it
pinch you
keeps
and
not
wake up.
disappearing. Yeah. It's insane the exponential growth that's possible. And I'm seeing it this year. I'm having the best year of my career, and just seeing, I mean, you can make nothing or you can make millions of dollars. It's absolutely insane what's possible. The first year, I mean, we each started with a 30K account, but I think that's a little, but we were probably trading with 5K because we weren't, no, neither of us were willing to lose 30K. We were
Yep.
probably trading with 5K. That first year was 290 for me. I think three something for him. He had been trading for a
Say the
few
full
years.
number just so that people aren't confused. I know you rich traders, you always try to minimize it, but just what does 290 mean actually?
So
in real
my
life?
first year of trading, I made 290K. And this is coming from, I wasn't even making enough to trade. I was only trading because of money from my grandpa. It wasn't even my money. I had 30K to open the account. I was risking about 5K, and I made 290K that year. And it was, I literally felt like, I mean, you talk to my friends, I felt like life wasn't real. I didn't even know it was possible. I thought something fake was happening.
But it hasn't always been
So,
roses. Explain what happened like last year and the year before too. I don't want people to think like, oh, 290,000 your
yeah.
first year. What happened last year?
So the cool thing about trading is you can start with $5,000 and make hundreds of $1,000s. That's the first lesson I learned. And then the second lesson I learned was when I was feeling completely high and ecstatic about my life being different, and now I'm like a rich person. Then 2022 comes and I lose $160,000 that year. So it
You
was
got too
still less
cocky.
than I got too cocky, and it was still less than I've made in total. But it was a big lesson in just seeing that, you can make a lot, but you can lose a lot. So Tim always says, start small. That's true.
So it's,
And then,
there's like a scale here, right? Like in the beginning, you don't have much money, you're trading a little bit, you're growing it a little bit. Then you went all the way to the other side and you're like, I can do anything. And then the market kind of
I know.
humbles you and brings you back down to size. What happened in 2023?
It was like an average year. It was actually less than 2020 and 2021. It was, I mean, average for our gains. I made 140K that year after having lost 160 in 2022. So it still didn't feel so good.
And now in
But now this
2024,
year,
how much are you up 3/4
I'm
of the year?
I'm up $500,000 so far on the year.
But that's the beautiful thing here. This is why I love trading, not just for the potential to make money, but to teach you the right lessons. In the beginning, especially if you have a small account and you're focused on these volatile stocks, you can really grow it. If you get too cocky, if you think that risk doesn't matter, discipline doesn't matter, you can lose a lot of it, you can lose all of it. Then you find your discipline again, because now, as Chris has done, like you just have like a fairy tale journey where you got started because your brother had already had, 2 years ahead of you and he's giving you lessons. So you're like, building on the back of him, but you still got too cocky. And now you have lessons about how much you can make, how much you can lose. And now this year you found like your, midpoint. And now the cool thing is having a midpoint, having the perspective allows you to make more than ever while risking less. Do you agree with that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually risking less this year than I was the last 2 years, and I'm making more than the last 2 years.
But it's all
So-
part of your journey, right? This is what I want everyone to realize. It's not just about how much you make in any one year, any one month, or any one trade. It's finding a balance. How much risk do you want to take? How many gains do you want to have? How many trades do you want to do? Like, we're all living life too. Chris was just in Positano. All three of these guys and girls were in, Positano with me. And the market's been going crazy. Normally, I go to Italy. I'm fortunate every summer. It was supposed to be a relaxing summer. This summer has been crazy. There's so many plays. I didn't get the relaxing summer I wanted, but I'm grateful for these plays. And when there's plays, like, we have to take advantage. So this is the reality of trading if you take it seriously. All three of these students are now masters. They don't need me anymore. They know their own patterns. They know their own strategies. They know when it might be a little too much. Like, Mari, did you find yourself ever getting too cocky and going too big where you're like, I have to pull back and calm down a little bit? What was your biggest loss?
Oh, yeah. My biggest loss was actually an options trade that I took on Tesla. And this I had never traded options before. And I remember that whole December, I was trading Tesla and I was just making consistent gains because I think my trading personality is being very consistent, taking smaller losses and just gains are adding up. And so I started to get a little bit confident with the Tesla stock in general. So one of the days it wasn't even like a day where it had gone up a ton. It was just a day where I was like, okay, well, why don't I use a little bit more size since I'm already making 2 to 5K a day on Tesla? Why can't I just size up a little bit? So I ended up opening the options trade out. I didn't even know how to trade options. I was very brand new to this whole thing. And I took too big of size on my first position. So I was already down 5K. And I just remember in my mind, I was like, I'm down 5K. This is more than like what I make throughout the day in Tesla, like in general. And that already got me emotional. So I sized up a little bit the next time, and my loss just kept growing and growing. So then it was 10K, then it was 20K. And throughout the day, I fought it the whole day and it went against me. I didn't even switch going long. I just kept going short because I was so convicted that my trade would eventually work and I didn't cut my losses. It just kept growing and I just got emotional. I didn't even know what the stock was doing that day because I just remember that my mind was trading. Like my emotions were trading for me. It wasn't really my mind.
With
So if you're
size.
not
You're
careful,
trading with
yes.
emotions with size. That's dangerous.
And I don't even know options at all. So I didn't cut my losses. I was emotional and I was feeling too confident because I knew Tesla too well, but you don't really know a stock too well. And it just kept going against me. And that same day, I lost 100,000, which was everything that I had made on Tesla. Like a
Th-
whole month just
Gone
gone
like
because
that.
of one day that I was just revenge trading. And then after that, I just made a strict rule that if a stock doesn't work for me 3 times, I'm out and I'm not going to try it again.
Rules are key, and you guys have to understand trading is great, the upside is great, but if you don't control your emotions, if you don't control your discipline, it can go very quickly, okay? The reason why we can grow our accounts so big, so fast, is because if you're on the right track with some of these plays, they're so volatile, it really booms your account. But you also have to recognize that it's a double-edged sword and that volatility cuts both ways. So you cannot ever get too comfortable with any stock, with any size. You know, I've had that too in the past where, you know, you're making 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. You get in a groove. You're like, oh, okay, I'm making this every day. Now I understand trading. Let me size up. And then you get smacked back down, especially with Mari saying like she's never even done options. Why would you take so much size on something you've never done? Like in hindsight, it seems obvious. But in the moment, she's down 5K. She's like, no, I don't want to waste a day. That's what I made yesterday. Let me try another. Now I'm down 2 days. Now I'm down 3 days. And it's a slippery slope. So you have to learn these rules. Rules will make or break you. And there's a lot of traders, they might do well for a little bit. A lot of traders did well in 2020, 2021, but then they learned the wrong lessons. They didn't have risk management because 2020, 2021, the dumbest people could just hodl anything and make a lot. But a fool and his money are soon parted. It's a very famous quote, or in Mari's case, it could be a fool and her money are soon parted. If you ever get too comfortable, do not risk that. So you have to hear the good and the bad to get an understanding of this. It's a great gift. It's a great luxury to be able to make an annual salary in a day, to make an annual salary in a week, in an hour sometimes, right? But again, if you're not careful, because we're trading volatile assets, whether it's stocks or options, it can go very quickly too. So you must always be on guard. And I want you guys to remember that. You're hearing from 3 multimillionaires, but it can go bad at any time. Andrew, what was your worst trade?
So my worst trade was LTCN. It was this year. It was this Bitcoin related OTC stock, and I was trying to get the first red day, and I was oversized on it, thinking it would have the first red day, and it did, but it was just so choppy, and I lost like 45K on it. So what I learned is that like they don't always have to play out, and if you try multiple times, then I would just stop it after a few times because I at some point I was just forcing it, and it did came, but it was much more choppier.
And that's it. Like we sometimes want to try to impose our will. Like I want to hit 5,000 on the day or 10,000. And you're like, this stock, I know I've seen this pattern. It has to do that. The stock can do anything. Okay, you don't know what's going to happen. So what Mari and Andrew have both said, they stop out now. They say, okay, let me learn from these big losses and not repeat the mistake. I would say, Andrew, that your biggest mistake was not coming to Dubai with you, because I always do a celebratory trip when you hit $1 million. He said no to Dubai. How much were you up on the stock that you chose over the trip to Dubai?
Yeah, so this still haunts me to this day. I actually went to Dubai with you, Tim. I was up like close to 200K on Fannie Mae and FMCC, but I was being greedy. I saw the stars, and then it gave me the shack.
So you were up $200,000, and what, would you want to make 250,000 before you could leave the house?
Yeah, I was like, maybe it can go like $3 and I can make like 3 or 400K.
And so what happened to your $200,000 in unrealized gains?
It was a classic. I turned into a loss. Lost everything.
How much did you finish down or up on that trade? I don't even know.
It wasn't too bad, but it was just very demoralizing when you get back all your gains. I was down like 16K.
So you went from plus $200,000. You got greedy. You said no to Dubai. Didn't matter that I had a whole trip planned. Didn't matter that I had an amazing itinerary. But it didn't even turn into your biggest loss. But that's like a gut punch. Again, if you ever get too cocky, this is how justice in the market works. It's kind of beautiful. The market gives you opportunity to make a lot, and it also gives you the opportunity to learn a lot when you get too big in your head. And this happens to every single one of my millionaire students. If I brought up all 40 plus millionaire students, every single one would have stories like this, myself included, okay? You always want to make more, but at some point you have to say, wait a minute, let me lock in some, let me lock in all, let me lock in some along the way. This is why I always say take singles, don't go for home runs, because the market can play tricks on you, right? Like the market has changed all 4 of our lives, but at the same time, it really is scary, especially when you're trading with size, especially on a fast moving stock. You have to be prepared. So, last question for all of you, just a quick lightning round. Chris, what's the rest of your plan for 2024?
My wife and I are doing a 1.5-month trip to Dubai, Japan, and then we're ending in the Philippines to go to my brother's wedding in the Philippines.
I'm going to join you at that wedding. Mari, what's your plan for 2024?
Maybe visit Colombia, keep trading, taking small size, and continuing the consistency. And that's about it.
I heard Jack made you a good coffee today. He said it was a good coffee. Can you confirm that? He's got a new coffee machine he's very proud of.
It was very good.
What would you rate it out of 10?
I don't know, because you know how like those lattes, sometimes they'll have like little figures on top. I said if it doesn't have like a little dog shape, it's good. The taste
He
is
didn't make
good,
you a
but
dog
the
shape.
presentation, no. The presentation was like with the
5 out of
presentation
10.
and everything together, it was, yeah, pretty much.
So the taste was good, and you're Colombian, so like you're a coffee snob, like
Okay.
Colombian coffee. I was there on a layover the other day, and I didn't even realize where I was. I was so jet lagged, and I had this layover coffee, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was in Colombia, and I was like, "Yeah, it's Colombian coffee." So I'll tell Jack to work on his animal figurines for
Yes.
lattes. Jack, you better be watching. Andrew, what are you doing for the rest of 2024? What's your plan?
So my plan is just to stay safe and fresh for the new election year and just work on my life outside of the markets because I feel like I haven't been doing so for the past 4 years.
Fantastic. Thank you guys all for joining. Congrats on your success. I want everyone in chat. Thank these guys and girls for being so transparent with their wins, with their losses, their whole journey. I want you guys to get inspired. Anybody can do this if you take it seriously. But again, you can't get too cocky. You have to learn the rules. You have to stick with the rules. And the good news is there's more than enough opportunity to make 6, 7, even 8 figures like some of my students do. You just have to get disciplined and stay dedicated. Mari, Andrew, Chris, thank you for joining us. I'll see you guys soon. How incredible was that? Like, I love hearing from my students. Seriously, leave a comment below. Thank Mari, thank Chris, thank Andrew for their transparency. Congratulate them on their hard work and their success. They're all so young, but they have the proper foundation. It's really setting them up for even more success in the future. And I just love like hearing about how they've all had experience with like a normal hourly paying job. It's so difficult to make any kind of lasting money getting paid by the hour. You really need to invest in yourself. You need to study, and you need to learn from my millionaire students. Like, it's crazy how much knowledge they have in just a few short years. I'm very proud, you know. I take a little pride in what I've taught them, but a lot of my students are now doing better than me. 2 students, Jack and Tim Grattani, who also now give weekly webinars, they're both into $10+ million territory in trading profits. Jack just crossed 13 million, Tim Grattani just crossed 16 million. So if you do click the link below and apply for my challenge, understand there's 40+ millionaire students, but I'm not best case scenario. There's gonna be more and more. You can do this. The question is, how bad do you want it? Please watch this, take notes, get inspired. Again, send this to friends and family. Send this to somebody who needs some inspiration. We live in this world where there's a lot of negativity. I'm proud to present solid education, knowledge, and really just positivity. So thank you again. Congratulate Chris, Mari, and Andrew. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see who's next. How bad do you want it?